global. Vira!
Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a truly inspiring global education initiative, the Climate Action Project. We're going to start at the micro level with a specific cross-border classroom collaboration, and then, watch how that expands into a macro understanding of global climate action. It's going to be a great journey, so let's dive right in. Here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. Virtual collaboration across borders. 2. Exploring Goal 13, climate action. 3. Strategies for climate resilience. And finally, 4. Student action and advocacy.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Virtual Collaboration Across Borders. Take a look at the details on this digital invite. This was for a virtual meetup held on November 7, 2022 via Microsoft Teams. And it literally bridges two entirely distinct worlds, uniting students from Weera Penrison High School over in East Malaysia with their peers at the Modern Public School in Delhi, India. It's this highly immersive outreach program operating right under the banner of the Climate Action Project.
But to really get this, we need to understand the context. This wasn't just some quick one-off video chat. Actually, scratch that. It was a whole transformative 6-week initiative. The entire focus was on deeply understanding the science behind climate change while fostering a genuine student-led collaboration on a global scale. It's all about taking this massive, kind of overwhelming topic of global warming and grounding it in real, human connections across borders over a sustained period of time. And this right here is what that collaboration actually looked like on the ground. This is the micro aspect of our case study. We've got the students at Weera Penrison in Malaysia sitting together in their classroom, totally engaged with the virtual presentation being broadcast by their peers in India. You can see the focus, right? The note-taking, the real-time learning happening through that screen at the front of the room. It's digital technology facilitating a truly global classroom. Moving right along to Section 2, exploring Goal 13, climate action. So what were they actually studying? Well, they reviewed this specific educational material, a wonderfully clear and engaging infographic by Marguerite de Hare. It breaks down the UN's Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action. And what I absolutely love about this is how it takes incredibly dense scientific concepts like atmospheric changes and resilience building and visually unpacks them so they're immediate and accessible for the students. It's almost like turning a textbook into a really compelling graphic novel. If we extract the data from the top half of that infographic, we can plainly list the core causes of global warming that these students studied. Now, yes, the climate is always changing naturally. We know that. But, and this is the absolutely crucial takeaway here, there's the added influence of human behavior over the last 200 years. The students learned exactly how CO2 accumulating in the atmosphere, paired with a thinning ozone layer, directly results in the rapid global warming we're seeing today. It's a clear, undisputed chain of cause and effect. Okay, pivoting now to Section 3, Strategies for Climate Resilience. Having understood the root of the problem alongside these students, let's shift gears to the actionable solutions they explored. This is where it gets super practical. Look at this dynamic progression of resilience strategies drawn from the bottom half of their infographic. The material definitely doesn't sugarcoat reality. It makes it clear that even with all mitigation measures in place, reversing global warming is still going to take decades. So we have to be prepared to manage extreme weather right now. How? Well, by following these steps. 1. Building sturdy cities and houses. 2. Improving water management to deal with droughts. 3. Educating the public. 4. Making comprehensive plans. And 5. Enacting national policies. It's a total full-spectrum approach, from physical infrastructure all the way up to high-level government legislation. And there's this one powerful conclusion from their study material that serves as the perfect catalyst for everything we've been talking about. All nations must work together to help mitigate and adapt to climate change and its impacts for the benefit of people everywhere. It just hits the nail on the head, reminding us exactly why international collaborations, like that 6-week initiative between Malaysia and India, are absolutely vital.
The climate doesn't care about borders, right? Which means our solutions and our education just can't be limited by borders either.
Which brings us to our final piece, Section 4, Student Action and Advocacy.
So we're zooming back in from those high-level global concepts to see the tangible results of this education. This hand-drawn poster, it's the true culmination of their learning. It's an incredibly impactful piece of art created by one of the students, and it is clearly demanding action. They've drawn a melting Earth with bold letters reading "Stop Climate Meltdown." It directly channels the science they learned about rising temperatures into a clear visual demand from the next generation. It really shows that when you empower youth with structured information and a global perspective, they don't just sit back and learn, they stand up and act.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought right here on the screen. Based on this global initiative, how will you apply this education to your own local climate advocacy? These students in Malaysia and India prove that geography doesn't limit our ability to learn, to connect, and to demand change. So I challenge you to take their inspiration, look back at the resilience strategies we discussed, and turn it into your own meaningful action today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me to explore this topic.
Now I don't need your wings to fly. No, I don't need a hand to hold in mine this time. You held me down, but I broke free. I found the love inside of me. Now I don't need a hero to survive, 'cause I already saved my life.
Let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're tracking a truly inspiring journey of youth leadership and global engagement. We've got a fantastic case study that perfectly captures what actually happens when you give young learners a global platform. We're breaking down JD No 1 School's remarkable journey through the Victorian Young Leaders Global Youth Forum. So if you're curious about how education can break out of the traditional classroom and build serious, real-world skills, well, you're in exactly the right place. Our story kicks off right here with JD-01-School. And, a school isn't just a building, right? It's a community. And this is a community deeply invested in empowering its students. The goal here isn't just rote memorization, teaching facts and figures. No, it's about pushing boundaries. It's about purposefully empowering the next generation of global citizens so they can tackle tomorrow's massive problems today.
Okay, here's how we're going to map out this epic journey. First, the call to adventure, then crossing the threshold, followed by the 3-day trials. After that, we'll uncover the ultimate boon of SDG 5, and finally, wrap up with the return via their community showcase.
Part 1. The Call to Adventure. Meet the protagonists.
So, exactly 5 dedicated Year 9 students were selected to represent their school and take on this huge challenge on a global stage. Now, really think about that for a second. When you were in Year 9, your world was probably pretty localized, right? Your school, your friend group, your immediate hobbies. But these 5 individuals, they raised their hands to take on a challenge requiring them to think on an international level. I mean, it takes some serious bravery to step up and be the voice for your entire school like that.
Moving on to Part 2, Crossing the Threshold, the pre-forum preparation.
To go from local learners to global participants, this journey had to be broken down into structured phases. Week 1 laid the essential groundwork with pre-forum preparation. That rolled right into the intensive main online forum over days 1 through 3. And finally, Week 2 brought it all back home with the post-forum showcase. This kind of architecture ensures the experience isn't just a flash in the pan, but a sustained period of real growth.
During that critical Week 1 phase, the entire focus was on shifting mindsets to prepare for that global stage. And honestly, it's so much more than just reading a syllabus. The absolutely crucial point of the pre-forum was the psychological and intellectual shift required to collaborate with international peers. These students had to learn how to actively listen, how to suspend their own biases, and really prepare to engage with cultures and ideas that might be wildly different from their own.
Part 3. The Trials, the main online forum. This brings us to a super pivotal, intensive span, a 3-day digital trial where they completely immerse themselves in cross-cultural communication and complex problem-solving. Now, 3 days might not sound like a long time, but in a highly focused, immersive environment, it can literally be transformative. It's a sprint, 3 continuous days of brainstorming, debating, negotiating, and building consensus with young leaders from totally different backgrounds. For those 3 days, they definitely weren't just students sitting in a classroom taking notes. They were active, vital voices in the Victorian Young Leaders Global Youth Forum. They had to step up to the plate. They were no longer just representing themselves. They were repping JD No 1 School across a massive network. And that level of participation, it demands critical thinking, adaptability, and just an incredible amount of focus. Section 4. The Ultimate Boon. Tackling SDG 5. Throughout this forum, the students dedicated their efforts to understanding and tackling SDG 5. If you're not familiar, that's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal focused entirely on achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. Obviously, this is not a simple topic. It's deeply complex, it's historically rooted, and it's a totally vital framework for global equality. By choosing to dive into this, our 5 students took on a really heavy, meaningful responsibility. They proved they were completely ready to engage with the world's most pressing issues. And this wasn't just abstract theory. It resulted in concrete advocacy. Seeing a massive global goal like gender equality tied directly to the hard work of young, local learners at JD No 1 School is just incredibly powerful. They took total ownership of this narrative. They didn't just study it. They synthesized it into a specific, highly impactful presentation that was ready to be delivered to a real audience. Finally, Section 5. The Return. Post-Forum Student Showcase.
In the post-forum showcase during Week 2, they brought all of those hard-earned global insights back home to JD No 1 School. They were sharing knowledge and really stepping into their roles as newly minted global citizens. And you know, this is where the magic actually happens. The impact multiplies. It's no longer just 5 students who grew, it's the classmates they presented to, the teachers they inspired, and the wider school culture they're helping to shape through this fresh global lens.
Ultimately, the real value of this whole endeavor is found in the traits these students developed. We're talking a broadened global perspective, a strong foundation in advocacy for gender equality, high-level cross-cultural communication skills, and real, tested community leadership. This transformative experience instilled these crucial global citizen traits in those 5 Year 9 students, proving without a doubt the immense value of the Victorian Young Leaders Program. They truly transformed from local participants into global advocates.
Seeing the sheer dedication and growth of these Year 9 students leaves us all with one vital, provocative question to ask ourselves as we wrap up this explainer. How will you champion equality in your own community today? I mean, if a small group of young
Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we're going to dive into a seriously vibrant and honestly delicious approach to education. You know, we usually think of learning as something stuck inside the 4 walls of a traditional classroom, right? Just reading from standard textbooks. But today, we're exploring a totally different concept, using a simple morning meal to bridge thousands of miles. We're going to see exactly how sharing what's on our plates can actually spark some incredibly deep cross-cultural connections. But before we really get going, I want you to take a quick second and think, what did you have for breakfast today? Like, really picture it. Was it just a piece of toast you grabbed on your way out? A bowl of cereal? Or maybe a traditional family recipe that takes an hour to whip up? Breakfast is this deeply relatable sensory thing. It's literally the first choice we make every single day. And because of that, it carries a ton of cultural DNA. So keep your own breakfast in the back of your mind as we unpack how this daily ritual is becoming a massive educational tool. Okay, here is our menu for today. 1. The universal language of breakfast. 2. Transcending physical boundaries. 3. Exploring the menu. And 4. Cultivating global competence. Section 1. The universal language of breakfast, a sensory hook. Food is just this incredible universal equalizer. You don't need to speak a word of the same language to understand the comfort of a warm bowl of soup, right? Or the joy of a perfectly spiced dish. By making food the focal point, educators have found this genius sensory hook. It grabs students' attention immediately and makes learning about a foreign culture feel totally accessible. And this all happens through a framework called the global classroom. Basically, it's a collaborative educational model that completely ignores physical and geographical borders. By leveraging digital tech and international partnerships, students connect in real time. So instead of just reading about a place, they're building cross-cultural understanding and real-world problem-solving skills face-to-face. Section 2. Transcending Physical Boundaries, the East Malaysia-Japan Exchange. To really see how this works, let's look at a fantastic real-world example. On November 21st, 2024, a global classroom event was held with the best theme ever: food for breakfast at your country. This digital bridge directly connected Wira Penresin Public School over in East Malaysia right to Takamatsu Chuo High School in Japan. And this wasn't just some casual video call. It was a highly organized educational exchange using tech to bring two completely distinct cultures right into each other's worlds. And think about the logistics here for a second. This was part of an outreach, highly immersive program. To pull this off, they had to successfully bridge a temporal gap, syncing up 10 a.m. Malaysia time with 11 a.m. Japan time. It's just a prime example of how digital tools can let students in totally different time zones share a synchronized morning routine, all focused entirely on cultural exchange. This matters so much because it's a huge shift from the old way of doing things. Traditionally, we have these educational silos, right? Students learning in isolation, separated by geography, sticking to standard curriculums. But flip that, and you get interactive, multicultural environments. This dynamic model forces students to navigate time zones, communicate across language barriers, and actually figure things out. They aren't just memorizing facts about the world, they're actively participating in it. Section 3. Exploring the menu. 4 signature breakfasts. Okay, let's get to the good stuff, the actual Malaysian dishes shared with the Japanese students. First up, nasi lemak. Just imagine trying to describe this to someone who's never had it. You've got this beautifully vibrant plate, traditionally served on a banana leaf. There's that vivid red, spicy sambal, the crisp green cucumber slices, a perfectly boiled egg, crunchy peanuts, crispy anchovies, and of course, a generous piece of fried chicken. You're not just showing them food, you're explaining an entire explosion of textures and flavors. Next up is fried char ku tio. I mean, you can practically smell the rich, smoky aroma of those flat noodles just talking about it. You've got plump shrimp, fresh green chives, and crisp bean sprouts mixed all the way through. When a student shares this in a global classroom, they're explaining high-heat wok cooking techniques and sharing a real slice of everyday Malaysian culinary tradition. Then we've got roti canai. The texture here is everything. It's this wonderfully flaky, folded flatbread that looks delicate but is so incredibly satisfying, especially paired with its rich, savory dipping sauce. Explaining how the dough was stretched, spun in the air, and folded to get those perfect flaky layers, that's sharing real local craftsmanship. And honestly, I love this next dish because it brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about today. We have a comforting, reddish, noodle-packed bowl of Sarawak laksa. But right next to the bowl, someone is diligently taking notes on paper. They're actively engaged in learning, right alongside their breakfast. It's the global classroom in a nutshell, consuming knowledge and culture at the exact same time. Section 4, Cultivating Global Competence, the Overall Aim. So what's the big takeaway here? The ultimate goal of this whole project isn't just to make everyone hungry. By breaking down those educational silos and sharing local food, educators are actively cultivating global competence. They're developing genuine empathy by showing students how others live. They're building global knowledge and enhancing critical thinking as students navigate communicating across cultures. Ultimately, they're giving these kids the exact tools they need to absolutely thrive in an interconnected world. I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How could sharing a simple morning meal change your perspective on a foreign culture? If a plate of spicy noodles or some flaky flatbread can bridge the thousands of miles between Malaysia and Japan and spark genuine empathy, what else might we understand better if we just took the time to sit down and share our daily routines? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you walk away with a lot to think about. All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're meticulously breaking down one single, fascinating visual, an image that basically promises to deliver global connections directly to you. At first glance, it's a clean, simple graphic, but trust me, it is completely packed with deliberate, layered meaning. Just think about this for a second. How do you actually pack the entire world into a single box? It's a total paradox, right? How can something as vast, infinite, and, let's be real, incredibly complex as global culture be constrained within 4 simple cardboard walls? Well, that is the core question this artwork tackles, and it does so in a really creative way. Take a look at the complete concept for the Culture Box Exchange. You've got the logo sitting perfectly in the lower center, the tagline right beneath it, and of course, that super eye-catching burst of colorful items hovering right above the open container. And it's all set against this very calming, light blue gradient background, which really lets those vibrant colors pop right out at us. Section 1, the core mission. Okay, so the explicit text here really sets the absolute foundation for our analysis. If you focus strictly on the primary brand name in those bold, white capitalized letters, Cultural Box Exchange, notice the literal merging of culture and box into a single cohesive idea. It's not culture in a box. They've actually fused them into cultural box. And adding exchange right underneath, that instantly implies a two-way street. It's an active sharing of ideas, not just a passive delivery of goods. And right beneath that bold text is the tagline, connecting worlds one box at a time. I absolutely love this line because the scale of the mission is just incredibly ambitious. They aren't just talking about connecting people or neighborhoods or even cities. No, they are literally talking about connecting entire worlds. And this brilliantly sets up the central tension of the entire image. Look at the direct comparison. On one side, you have connecting worlds, which feels massive, infinite, and wildly diverse. But then on the other side, you have one box, which is simple, physical, and severely constrained. The whole graphic is essentially a visual promise to bridge that massive gap. Section 2, Anatomy of the Box. So how do they actually bridge it? Let's check out the visual anchor of the image. Right in the middle is a simple, brown, open cardboard box. It's drawn with these thick, dark outlines to give it some solid presence, but it is unmistakably just a standard shipping box. And it's a totally universal symbol. When we see a box like this with the flaps open, our brains immediately jump to shipping, mail delivery, and, that distinct feeling of anticipation right before you see what's hidden inside. But obviously, this isn't just an empty vessel. If you draw your attention to the dark interior of the box, you see this beautiful eruption of color. There are 4 distinct, vibrant streaks just actively bursting upward from the center. Moving from left to right, we've got a bright red or pinkish ribbon, followed by a yellow one, then a green one, and finally a blue one over on the far right. Think about what an eruption actually visually communicates. It's a sudden outburst, an explosion of contents. This dynamic, upward movement of the colored ribbons implies so much energy and surprise. It acts as a perfect visual metaphor for the sudden, joyful release of experiences that have been tightly packed away, just waiting for the exact moment someone opens those cardboard flaps to set them free. Section 3, Symbols of Culture. So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly what is riding those colorful ribbons out of the box. We're unpacking 4 specific, distinct artifacts hovering at the top. Each one cleverly represents a unique cultural theme. We have a globe for global geography, sushi for international cuisine, the Eiffel Tower representing iconic landmarks, and an open book for shared knowledge. By grouping these 4 specific items, the artist gives us a really well-rounded definition of what culture actually means in this context. Let's zoom in on that globe icon first. It's a simple sphere with vibrant green landmasses and blue oceans. But what's fantastic about this specific icon is how it literally visualizes the worlds mentioned in the text below it. It takes this giant, abstract concept of international connection and grounds it into a highly recognizable, universal picture of our planet. Right next to the globe, we have a representation of international cuisine with 2 pieces of sushi. The detail is simple but super effective. You can see the dark black seaweed wrapping, the white rice, and the bright orange centers. Food is arguably one of the most immediate, visceral ways we experience a new place, right? So this icon brilliantly represents the physical, tangible taste of a different culture. Over on the far left, balancing things out, is the bright pinkish magenta silhouette of the Eiffel Tower. Now this is an incredibly powerful piece of visual shorthand. You literally don't need a single word to know what this implies. It instantly sparks ideas of international travel, world-class architecture, and historic destinations. And finally, hovering on the right side, we have an open book with striking red covers and white pages. This perfectly symbolizes the stories, the different languages, the literature, and the vital education that are absolutely inherent in any true cultural exchange. It's a great reminder that connecting worlds is about shared learning, just as much as it is about travel or food. Section 4. Connecting the worlds. Now that we've broken down all those individual pieces, let's synthesize the overarching narrative here. The real genius of this design is that it offers a curated discovery. Look, if someone just handed you the entire globe, it'd be totally overwhelming. The scale is just way too big to digest. Instead, this image shows how that massive vastness is deliberately curated into specific, highly manageable items, like a single landmark you can visualize, an open book you can hold, or a plate of food you can taste. Looking back at the full view, notice how the food, the architecture, the geography, and the literature aren't just scattered randomly across the background. They are completely unified, because they are all erupting from that single central point inside the cardboard box. It visually guarantees you that all these incredibly diverse global elements are part of one cohesive, delivered package. Section 5. One box at a time. Having looked at that explosion of culture, let's explore the highly methodical approach promised by the second half of our tagline. Let's focus entirely on the concept of one. As we established, the ultimate goal of connecting worlds is massive, but the graphic insists that this is achieved through an individual, box-by-box process. It emphasizes that gaining a global perspective isn't something that just happens magically all at once. It happens step by step, or in this case, one curated experience at a time. And what this really highlights is the promise of the threshold. By using the everyday imagery of a standard shipping box, the artwork strongly suggests bringing these vast global experiences directly to your doorstep. It takes the macro, actually, scratch that. It takes an intimidating concept of international exchange and makes it a highly personal, tangible, and accessible event for the person receiving it. So, we come full circle back to the very first half of the tagline, connecting worlds. When you break down the ribbons, the icons, and the cardboard box, this quote really remains the ultimate promised outcome. Opening this simple, everyday cardboard vessel is visually equated to opening up your mind to the entire world. Which brings us to our final thought. Looking at this clever, colorful combination of a constrained shipping box and boundless cultural symbols, I've just got to ask, which world will you open first? It leaves us completely curious about the vast cultures, flavors, and stories waiting to be unpacked from the simplest of places. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep your curiosity open, and I'll see you next time.
Erica Perizotto from Brazil. La 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 la. Allah. Sabot kaya.
From Nina Roby.
From Sotio High School.
Ya. Wah, mana ni? Yang komputer punya
Oh,
key tu.
I see.
Keyboard punya key. Okay. Ada tak Coco Pie?
Coco Pie?
Sebab
This is
ini dia punya di sini.
and it's
Ya.
intact.
Ya, sini. Oh, mana cantik dia. Besar-besar dia cantik. That too.
Ah. Sangat kecil.
Oh, I see.
Thank you. Kamsahamnida.
I open this, huh? Okay. Please open because it says. I just.
사랑해요. So, I tengok cerita Korea.
Yeah.
What is it? Kontak nombor. Oh,
It's that one. Those blind box.
Oh, blind box. Blind box.
Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.